Hello, welcome to Kitchen Conversation with Lisa and Sterling. And this series is all about what the future might look like in terms of AI and other inventions to possibly make our lives easier, or is there something more sinister going on? Anyway, I want to talk today with Sterling about blockchain. Sterling, can you explain what blockchain is all about? Because we hear about it all the time.
Yeah, and I think blockchain appeared on our horizon about 5 years ago, and very little of us understood it. And it's only now that it's actually being used. So kind of technically what it is a immutable ledger that is open and completely transparent that you can't change. And it's the technology that's behind cryptocurrencies. So Bitcoin works on it. Lots of people are using it where you want to have a really secure provenance of your product. The art world uses blockchain for artwork that's going around. And obviously our deep interest, Lisa, is about food, about how can this help us with traceability and guaranteeing the provenance in our food and getting that visibility of the global supply network that we're all after.
So if we start at the beginning, where the food is actually produced, or even in turn, it may be where the feed's coming from, where does blockchain actually start?
Well, it does start at the beginning and it finishes at the end. And it is literally a series of blocks of information that are in a chain. So that is our food chain, and it starts from the beginning and goes to the end. And as I say, you get that interrogation of what actually that you have in your system. You know, and I know when it comes to things like traceability, which is really important, sometimes this global network, I don't think it is a chain, I think it is a network, is really complicated. And it's really difficult to understand the provenance of your food. And it's so complicated, it's awkward to interrogate, don't you think? So if you want to do a food recall and you want to know, do you have a problem? Or you want to do traceability on, I remember doing one on an avocado, and actually in a retailer in the old days, it could take you a week to find out exactly where did that avocado come from. That happened to be in one of your products. Whereas now, using blockchain, you can do it in seconds. And it's being used now. Walmart are actually saying that you need it if you're going to produce their green salad. So if you're in that network for them, it's compulsory. It's a barrier to entry. You either use blockchain or you don't deal with Walmart, as they're trying to improve traceability and on the back of that, food safety.
So are there companies that provide the blockchain technology that people have to buy into?
Yeah, and I think that is the thing that some people are concerned about now is, there's not a single blockchain system. There are lots of different systems out there. How will they talk to each other? And I think there are some concerns about, smaller companies, will they find it easy to use? I think, look, I'm not a techie. I don't really understand the meanings of it works, but I know what it will do. It's a bit like a car, isn't it? We all drive cars, but when you actually look into the car, how does a carburetor work? Well, maybe not all of us really understand that, but we know basically that what a car does. And I think that's what blockchain is. There is a lot of IT behind it, and there's a lot of architecture behind it. But I think for most of us in our industry, it's about how do we use it? And I think the use of it, actual day-to-day use, is like driving a car. It is about putting information into a system, something we're all used to. But now most of it goes onto some spreadsheet that not connected, and each person's got their own way of doing it.
And that becomes even more essential with not just with provenance of food, but also allergen management, doesn't it? So that you can get that information.
Absolutely. I think the interesting thing about blockchain is the way it links to Internet of Things, what we have on our QR codes and on our phones. Although, as you know, not mine, it's about 20 years old. But now the consumers has got the power. The consumer can now use their trolley to drive retailers on the journey they want them to do. So if you're a consumer and you put in that you have an allergen to certain items, you can actually use the QR code to actually see the journey of that food. So that whole blockchain journey will become visible to you, about what certificates that are in that line for assuring you that, the right controls are in place for allergen management right along the chain. It might tell you about sustainability issues. It might tell you about welfare issues, that provenance issue. I live in the beautiful village of Pickwick, and if people buy, I don't know, lamb that comes from the fields that surround us, they'll be actually able to see Pickwick, and they'll see the fields, and they'll see where their food comes from. So I think consumers are now in the driving seat, connecting the Internet of Things with the visibility of blockchain.
Very interesting subject, isn't it? No doubt lots of interesting conferences that you'll be chairing coming up in the future. So thank you very much, and that's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from her.